Now it's time to specify the CSS part for this time and date widget application. So for that we need to use the style.css file. Inside of the style.css file, first I am going to select the universal selector. So first we need to change the margin. So I will be changing the margin to 0. Then the padding is going to be also 0. Then we need to define the border, which is border box. You need the box sizing, which is going to be border box. Also I am going to apply the font family, which is sans serif in this case. So I will be using this sans serif font. Then you can see there is a change in the font of the particular elements that are visible to the web browser. After that we need to select the body because we want to add the colors. So for that I will be selecting the body. Inside this I will be adding the background color. So background color that I will be using here 1A, 1A and 1A. And if I control save it, then you can see now the color is visible to the web browser. Now the text, all of these are actually black, that is why they are not visible. If I select it, then you can see these elements are still present. But don't worry, we are going to modify it once we are done with the basic stuff of the body. Then after that I will be adding here a display property which is going to be flex, and then I will be adding here a justify content, going to be like center. Alright, and then I will be adding here align items, not align tracks, it is like align items. That is this one, which is also going to be the center. So if I control save it, then you can see now the elements is actually shifted to the center of the browser. Now it's time to actually provide the height attributes. I will be using here a height like 100 VH. Control save it. Then you can see now it is actually placed at the center of the screen. After that we need to add the code for the container. So it is the main container in which every element is present. So inside of the container, first I need to specify the width. So I will be here using the width. Now here I will be using the 35.87 width, like in a form of EMs. Okay, so you can have different kinds of units like pixel, rams and EMs. Okay, so I will be here using the display. So display is going to be like grid. So here I will be using the display grid to actually display the things in a two-dimensional form. Okay, and then I will be adding here a color because right now they are actually black, so it is not visible. So I will be adding here a white color to the elements. If I control save it, now whatever content present inside the container, the color is changed to white. And after that I need to here use the align items. So I will be aligning the items to the center. Alright, and it is not actually working. Then we need to apply the other property, which is grid template columns. So I will be using here a 0fr, actually not 0fr, it's actually 8fr here, 8fr, and then I will be here using the 4fr. If I control save it, then you can see the time and the day widget is actually placed in two different columns. So this is actually the power of the grid. Then I will be here using the background color. So background color is equal to like 1E90FF. So this will be the background color used for the entire container, just like this, like bluish color. Alright, and after that we need to add the border radius. So border radius is going to be like 0.5 EMs. I'm actually here using the AMS, then you can see we get this capsule like structure, but don't worry, we are going to fix all of this. Then here I'm going to provide the animation code, which we will be create after completing the rest of the code. Then we need to provide the code for the clock container. You can see we have two container, which is a clock container, then we have this date container. So this one is a clock container and this one is a date container. So first I'm going to specify the code for the clock container. So I'm going to copy this clock container ID, means the class name selector. Then I will be specifying here a dot, then pasting the name of the selector, which is clock container. Inside of that, first I will be changing the background color. So background color is going to be like this particular one. Control save it, then you can see again it is changing now because we want to display the time in this particular black one, just like we have the stopwatch type effect, just like we have the digital watch. So that is the reason I have used here a black one. Then we need to change the font color. So font color is going to be like again #FF. Control save it. So that is already a font defined, but once we actually change the fonts, so that is the reason. Okay, even you can remove this property, but I'm just going to leave it is because I already applied the font color here inside the container. Even if you don't want to apply here, then you can remove it. If you remove it from here also, control save it, then you can see still these are black. Then you need to apply the font here instead of that. Hashtag FFI, if you control save it, then you can see the font is changed to white. So you have both options. Either you can apply the font directly to the container, either you can apply it here, the font color. So I'm just going to use it here. I'm just removing the font color property, Missy color, from the container. Then inside the clock container, again I will be adding the text align property so that I can align the content at the center. You can see now it is actually at the center of the container. Okay, and then I will be here using the font size property because right now they are very small. So I will be using here a 3.7 EMs unit. Now you can see the font size is actually increased. And after that I will be using here a margin left property because I want to add some margin to the left, because once we style this one then they become very close to each other. That is the reason I want to apply some margin from left. You can see now we get this kind of effect. So we actually get it, but we will fix these all and make it like this final version of the application. Okay, so after that inside of the clock container again, after specifying the margin left property, then we are going to add the border radius property, because right now it is like a capsule type because the corners are very like thick. So we want a rounded corners, so that is the reason we actually going to use here a border radius property. So I'm going to use the 0.1 EM units. You can see now the corners become rounded for that particular clock container. Then we need to add here a padding property. So padding I'm going to use here 0.2 EM units, and then from left and right it is going to be 0. You can see now the height of this particular container is increased a bit because of the padding from all sides, which is actually 0.2 EM units. Then we need to add the display property here. So display I'm going to use here a flex. You can see now it is actually shifted to the left of the container. Then I'm going to here use the justify content, which is going to be the center. Alright, and then I will be using here the align items, which is going to be the center. Alright, so now it is actually perfectly at the center of the container. Alright, then it's time to actually style these particular one so that we can provide here a specific width. The reason for providing this specific width is here, just like in previous application I told you, if the values actually change like from 0 to different digits, because maybe a chance it is going to be a single digit value. So in that situation these values are actually getting, because every time whenever this value updated, you can see 5, 6 and 7, the widths will become shrink a little bit. So it's actually going to just shake the UI, like in previous application I told you why we use the span element and providing a fixed width with providing the display to inline block. Alright, once we complete the entire code for this application, then I will be showing you the again why we use that particular code. So we are going to do that here as well, like clock container, then the span element. Instead of that I will be using the first width property because we want to provide a specific width, which is 120 pixel here. This is a fix that we need to do in order to work with this particular application. Then we need to add here an inline block, and then I will be using here a text align property, which is going to be the center. Now you can see it is becoming more, it's looking more good. Okay, then we need to provide the different colors, like this one is red, this one is green and this one is blue. So to do that we need to here use the class names, which is I have already specified hours, minutes and seconds. So we are going to use these class names here. So first I will be using the hours, and then we need to do what, we just need to change the color. So that is the reason I told you that if you didn't specify the color, this white one, you can, because we are already going to override the colors. Okay, so here I will be using this red color for the hours. Alright, then I will be using here a minutes, and then again changing the color. So this one is going to be like green, so 00 FF00. Alright, so we get a green color, and for the seconds I will be using here a blue color. So seconds class, then I will be here using the color, then as symbol and 0000, then FF, which is for the blue. Now you can see the seconds is changes to blue. Alright, for this particular neon animation we need to create the keyframes, and also we need to add that animation to the container, which is this particular main container. So for that we need to create that keyframe animations. So coming back to the our version of the application, so here we need to add the keyframe animation. So I will be here adding the keyframe, so add the rate. Then we need to use here a keyframes. Then we need to provide the identifier name, which is actually a neon glow. So this will be the keyframe identifier. So first we need to use for the 0%, then the block of the code, and then we need to add the another keyframe which is for the 100%. Then we need to open its code, and here we need to actually modify the box shadow. So this will be the box shadow here. So first it is going to be 0, 0, then 5 pixel. Then we need to provide the colors. So I will be here using the whiter one, 6 times white. Then another color we want to use 0, 0. Then the another one which is 20 pixel, which is the blurriness. And then again I will be using here a white color. Okay, so this will be the color code keyframe use, and then I will be applying the into the 100% as well. So it is going to be the reverse. Here we need to provide it 20 pixel, and this one is going to be like 40 pixel. Alright, then I'm going to control save it. Then we need to add this particular keyframe animation to the container. So here at the top we need to add the code inside the container element. To add it we need to use here an animation attribute, animation, then the name of the animation, which is actually a neon glow. Actually I need to check it. Neon glow is the animation name here. Yes, neon glow. This is the animation we have used here, neon glow. And then we need to provide the duration. So it is going to be like 1.5s. Then is in out function, means is in out one we are going to use, and we need to provide this animation to infinite, and then we need to alternate. Control save it. Now you can see this particular neon effect is applied to the container. So our next step is we need to actually style this date container as well, which is, you can say it as the like clock container, because we already did the clock container code. Yes, we actually completed the clock container. It's time to specify the code inside the date container so that we can make it looks more good. So coming back to the style.css again. So after the end of this keyframe code, here we need to paste the name of the class container, which I already copied inside the clipboard of the system, which is Visual Studio Code. The first thing I will be here using the padding. So padding is going to be like 1 em from top and bottom, and then it is going to be the 0 from left and right. So if I control save it, then you can see a little padding is applied. Alright, and then I will be using here a background property. So background color is actually like we are going to use here a 1 hashtag 1e, which is like this one. Actually it is not applied. I think I made a typo. I think date container is a container, and I am actually providing a code here, date container. So first we are going to complete the code here. So again I will be using here a color property, FFF, and if I control save it, now you can see the font color is changed. Even I can change the color a little bit here, like this one. You can see now the date container color is changed a little bit. Alright, and then we need to actually add here a text align property. Instead of using here m's and m's, means m units, I will be using here a padding like 10 pixel from all sides. So it is like 10 pixel padding, and also I am going to increase the color. Here we are going to terminate that. You can see now it is actually shifted from all the sides. Alright, then I will be using here a text align property. So text align, it is going to be the center. Now it is actually moved to the center of the container. Alright, and then I will be using here another property, which is the border radius property. So border radius is going to be like 10, not 10, it is going to be like 5 pixel. Then we get these rounded corners for the borders. So we are going to provide here another code. Now this is the code that we need to another here use data container, and then we need to use here a span element, and then we need to start its body. Instead of that, we need to provide the font size property, which is going to be 2.5 em units. Now this particular element is not present inside our index.html. If you see it here inside the date container, now this will be used by the JavaScript dynamically, because once we successfully able to get the values of all of these 6 things, then we need to actually format that coding by using the span element. Then that element which we will be added by using the JavaScript, then we will use this particular code. So that we will use this style code inside the JavaScript, which is our next step. So that's it for this particular part of the time and date widget application.